Hey guys, welcome back to our Zodiac Sundays. I'm Kent,
And I'm that nerd Allison.
and welcome to our Spicy Book Nook. We're in part 2 already. It's pretty
How
crazy.
many parts are in this book? Have we split that before?
Boa. There will be 4 parts to
So-
The Reckoning.
Officially halfway.
I'm over halfway through. I'm at 51%.
Crazy.
The beginning was wasn't super crazy for the first part. This part's not really crazy. It was really long chapters.
Yeah.
So you got a lot of information during one scene.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, Darcy and Ryan get together. What? Huh?
Do
What'd you
what?
say?
What'd you say? Who got together?
Okay, here we go. Here we go.
Okay.
So,
Darcy chapter.
yes, we are starting on a Darcy chapter. Right after they're kind of talking about how they need to start fighting back.
about this chapter. This
Um,
chapter is also in Foxy Tales from Orion's perspective.
Oh, I'm sure he had a fucking blast with this.
So funny.
So Orion comes in and he's like, I need some blood.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, no, because they're supposed to fight back. She's like, I don't want to fight back, but I should fight back.
Because we're Fae.
So she
Puts a little bit of fight.
she puts up a little bit of a fight. And that does not.
Mm-hmm.
And well, he takes it anyway, but he's giggling at her as it happens.
Yeah.
He walks up to the board
Uh-huh.
and he does his little thing on the board where he's usually like grumpy butthole.
Yeah.
And he writes, "You are all horny teenagers."
It is the start of a sex ed class.
Is a little bit of death.
Yeah. That was English.
That was whew.
It's pretty much them going over different funny ways that are supposed to protect you during sex.
Yeah.
From getting pregnant.
So he's trying to get rid of the misconceptions because
Yeah.
the whatever it is called, I forgot what it's called. Oh my gosh.
the solstice
The
or
solstice. The solstice is coming up and it makes them super horny.
super, super horny.
So-
All of their inhibitions just
Orion is
Out
trying
the
to make
window.
sure that they can at least protect themselves if they're going to be super horny and
Yeah.
going out and having a bunch of sex. So he's trying to teach them the birth control spell. So
yeah.
while he's getting ready to do this, and Darcy's like, yes, put that banana up to you and watch me. Show me.
Show me what to do with that.
Francesca walks in
Uh-huh.
and she's like, hey, I really need those memories. I can't wait any longer. You have to come with me.
And Washer walks in.
Washer will take over your class.
Washer's like, don't worry, I know how to do this.
I got this.
I taught you after all. And he was like, oh God.
So he comes in and he starts handing out sex toys. And he's like a big ass horn
Mm-hmm.
and shit like that. And he goes around and does he's a siren. So he's pulling students' most sexual fantasies out. And he ends
Yeah.
up pulling Tori's out
Mm-hmm.
about hers with Caleb, about the hunt. But Darcy
Mm-hmm.
fights him off.
Interesting. She's like,
Because
please don't see that I am
Be-
hot for teacher.
she wants to make sure that her and Orion's secret is safe.
Mm-hmm.
So another person that Orion walks up to is the guy that walked out last chapter that was like, I can't do this, but then comes back.
Mm-hmm.
So he walks up to him. He's like, hey, tell us what your sexual fantasy is. And the guy was like, I can't. When me and my boyfriend have sex, he only wants to do one thing. What is it? Washer asked. He asked me to dress up like Darius A. Crux.
Oh gosh.
This immediately reminded me of Gareth and
Cindy Lou.
Cindy. And I was like, oh my God, what is going on here?
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I have to use a smoke machine and growl like a dragon while I boss him around. And he asked me to call him. Yes? I can't, Elijah said in horror. You're in a safe space. What does your boyfriend ask you to call him? Prince Caleb.
Oh my gosh.
I died laughing. I was downstairs on my couch and my husband was sitting next to me. And he just kind of goes,
Just
you
gave
okay?
A weird
Because I
look.
was coughing, laughing. It was so funny. And then Washer says, roleplay is perfectly natural.
Okay, pervert.
Oh. And then he walks up to Tyler.
Uh-huh.
And guess what Tyler's is? Sophia, and he wants to make her feel so good she glows. Pegasus's glow when they're happy.
Yeah.
And Washer goes in, does she want that back? And starts to head up towards Sophia, and Sophia yells out, I do, without Washer having to pull anything from her. She just says it because she wants him to know that she wants it, not that he's pulling it out.
Yeah.
And I think that is so fucking cute.
So cute.
I cannot wait for them to be more.
To be a couple.
Because they're really, really cute, and I fucking hate Diego. Anyway, so Orion finally comes back. Washer gets kicked out. He tells him to get his sex toys and leave.
The girls get peaches. The guys get bananas.
And then they ask what the pineapple is for because he brought in a random ass pineapple.
And he's like, that's my lunch or whatever. So funny.
So he makes Darcy do the spell
over and over and over again.
Over and over and over.
He's
like,
like,
he watches her.
Yeah. Like, I really want to make sure you get this spell. You specifically need to know what this spell can do.
And he just continuously makes her do it. And then he makes her stay after class. And he's essentially like, you didn't reply to my message, blah, blah, blah. He's like, you're supposed to fight back. She's like, I will if you try to bite me, but that's not what you want. Is it? And so they get kind of close. And then I'm pretty sure he's like touching up her thighs. And then Nova walks in and is like, hey, like, I need you to do something for me right now. And so he ends up leaving, and she goes, yeah, his fingers circled for half a second. Yeah, he was like coming up her leg with his fingers, and then Nova walked in.
Yeah. And
so they had to separate. Boo-hoo. I wanted more from that.
Yeah.
And then we go into a Tori chapter. And they're at the orb for lunch, and the guys are just being dicks, and Max walks over and is like, this is that chapter, right? No, it's not. I'm ahead of myself a little bit. Sorry, guys.
Yeah. It's
this is when Caleb starts another hunt with Tori.
Yeah.
And she's like in like at 120 or something like that. I can't remember. 20-1 or something. And he's like, it starts then and you have to find me. So she's like, last time I went into a quiet area and he could hear my heartbeat. This time I'm going to go into the woods and I'm going to hide in a place where there's a lot of outside noise going on so he cannot find me. And she ends up, he doesn't find her.
Yeah.
And Caleb is pissed.
Upset.
Like she was saying that it's like the most angry she's ever seen him. And he like took down a tree. And so she walks out and he's like, really wants to bite her, but she's like, you didn't catch me in time.
Yeah.
That's
like, the suck.
That's not the game. Are you going to break the rules?
Yeah.
And so he's like, he debates for a minute and then he's like, I still want something else. And eats her out on the tree. Makes her late to class.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was that chapter. Nothing crazy going on except getting tongue fucked by Caleb.
Outside.
In
the woods.
In the middle of the woods. On a very populated path.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go, Tori.
And then he was like, come to my room. Promise me you're going to come to my room.
He's so into her.
We'll talk about that later because there's a part that comes up where Caleb gets teased a lot. And then Seth brings it up later. And I want to like, what was going on?
Come back to it.
Anyway, so I lied. That wasn't the end of the chapter. I forgot this is the same chapter where she actually goes into class. So she makes it to tarot class. And she walks in. And she had told Caleb that Washer was stealing her memories. And Caleb was pissed. Also, she told him that while she was in the orb before the game started.
Yeah.
And he had went to Washer and like did something and scared the shit out of Washer. So she walked into class.
Yeah.
And Washer was like, oh no, you're fine. Mr. Altair said he needed his source. You're fine. You're fine.
You're okay.
And Kylie's like, what the fuck? Like, I was 1 minute late and you took points. And he's like, Mr. Altair said he needed his source. And
the
Washer was
perks
like,
of being an heir.
shaking. Anyway, they also announced this chapter there will be a new tarot teacher.
I wonder who that is.
And then they said Professor Knox. And I like, I did a giddy little dance.
Gabe.
And it made me really, really happy that I'm finally going to start seeing him. I'm ready. I'm so fucking ready.
I absolutely love him.
I'm
This in Ruthless Boys, I was like, Gabe was kind of like towards the bottom of the list of boys. In this series, it made him skyrocket to the very, very, very top. Like, very top.
I feel like you get to know him a lot better in this series.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, they also find another card that Astrom hid among their decks.
Yep.
And it was the
Empress?
yes, I think it was the Empress.
Yeah. Yeah. The Empress looked up at us from the card, reclining in a chair on a chair in a dress covered with red roses while wearing a crown of stars.
Yep. And they flipped it over. They're like, okay, well, let's see what this one tells us. In the Palace of Souls rests a secret untold. Find the light who burned on after the fire.
Interesting.
We come to find out the Palace of Souls is actually the mansion.
The palace.
The palace. Sorry, duh.
Yeah.
The palace that their parents lived in, and it is now theirs.
Yeah.
And they kind of talk about going back there, but Tori is like, feels weird because, like, there could be remnants of her parents that they never met.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think it's a little, like, sad for her. So she's like, after we make it through the trials, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But Darcy was actually really excited.
Yeah, Darcy wanted to go. She wanted to see if there was anything left of their parents.
Another thing, when Caleb was eating her out, he stole her underwear. And it pissed her off. And the next class they had was Fire Elemental, and she didn't want to go there without her underwear. And so she goes and, like, tries to get them back from him, and Caleb's like, nah.
Yeah.
And then Darius walks up and kind of spooks Tori a little bit because she just, like, wasn't, I don't know that she wasn't expecting him, but, like, she didn't really want to talk about that in front of him.
In front of Darius, yeah.
And she says, oh, Jesus. Whatever, he's shouting about us hooking up in front of the whole damn school. I'm not his girlfriend, and it's no one else's business what we get up to. Plus, he stole my underwear. So,
because she had walked away from him.
I shrugged,
really pissed him off.
not wanting to admit that Darius was actually the one who rattled me. Well, you always knew he'd leave you for a Pegasus in the end anyway. He's got the horn for the horn. And then we move into a Darcy chapter. She is in the Pluto offices to go get a package.
I wonder what it is. Blue or green?
Diego is there. And he's like trying to get her to tell him what's in the package. And she's like, nah, like, I don't want to tell you, it's a surprise.
Yeah.
And he, like, kind of starts to get a little handsy with her. And of course,
Orion
who's there? Orion comes in and pulls him off of her, and they kind of start fighting. Diego hates her. Or hates him, sorry, because of what he did to his grandma's box.
Yeah. He ends up calling Orion a name, and then Orion
but before
goes
that,
to go after Diego.
Orion grabbed his mail, and Darcy peeped his address. No reason why that's important.
Yeah. And then they go to leave. Try to see if anything else crazy happened.
Orion was being an asshole after he called him a bloodsucker.
Yeah.
And was like, "Dear Diary," and was like talking about how he was almost murdered by his cardinal magic professor. That's not a threat at all.
Yeah.
And then he said, "I have a big crush on Darcy Vega." And Orion laughed, and Diego's like, "No, I don't. I promise. Like, I don't. Whatever. Darcy was like, I know. He's just being a grump ass." And then they got back to a spot. They were going to Jupiter Hall. Tori and Sophia were there. Geraldine and Angelica were already there. And something that Diego says here rubbed me the wrong fucking way. Darcy goes, "Oh, hi, guys." And Diego says, "What are you doing here?" Diego asked like he was disappointed to see everyone gathered there.
Yep.
Why?
Interesting. Why does he want Darcy alone? all the time.
Because they were on, that's what they were doing. They were going to get his hat back.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody was there to help. So they ended up actually getting his hat back.
Uh-huh.
But Orion had put a protective spell over it to where he had to drop blood on it to take the protective spell off so he can grab his hat. And then I forgot what happened after that. They just went home after that.
Yeah.
Diego was like, thanks.
And then Darcy is talking about how incredible Faye hair dye is.
Mm-hmm. Well, she says, it was time for a new me. A girl who was Faye. A girl who was royal. And a girl who wasn't afraid to trust anymore. Mm-hmm. And then we move into she dyed her hair blue again.
The only thing that she can think of over and over and over again is blue means you.
No, she says blue means you like me.
Yeah, what?
Yeah. Essentially, that was what Orion said to her.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you dye your hair blue,
it means you like
me. You like me. Like,
there's something between us.
Yeah. And so guess what she did? She dyed her hair fucking blue.
All of it. Not just the tips this time. The entire thing.
All of it, guys. Blue head.
Mm-hmm.
She was like, I don't just like you. I love you. Anyway, so they ended up texting back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
And Darcy was like, what are you doing? And he said, reading? I'm sure I don't need to remind you to delete that picture. What are you doing? He had sent her a picture of him laying on his bed, no shirt on, reading a numerology book.
Because he's a nerd. Lance is a little nerd.
He's a little fucking nerd.
And we know it from the Ruthless Boys series.
And then
so cute.
She wrapped her hair up and then sent him a picture back. And said, you don't deserve a photo because she said, you don't deserve a photo because you were rude to my friend earlier. And he said, Polaris was asking for trouble. Plus, he had his hands all over you, so you can blame the vampire code. I have to protect my source. P.S. What am I going to have to do to earn this picture? I was like, are they really about to just send naked pictures back and forth? Like, is that what's about to happen? And Darcy was like, you can have a picture if you tell me the real reason why you attacked Diego. And he was like, fine. Seeing another guy's hands around you makes me want to rip out their eyes so they never get to look at you again. Darcy says, that's so dark. I started laughing, knowing I probably shouldn't.
And then he goes, it's nature, baby, with the winky face.
Where's my photo? So she wraps her hair up because she doesn't want him to know. She wants it to be a surprise.
And he goes, shit.
In a pillowcase.
How did you know about my pillowcase fetish?
You're really starting to get a little bit of Lance in this chapter, and it really makes me happy because he's a fucking kid. Like, he's not much older than these people. And
he used to be so funny and jokey and carefree. And it was really his sister dying and him being put as the professor.
And Darius's guardian.
That really kind of, like, made him become his, like, broody.
Lionel made this.
Depression.
Because not only did he make Lance his guardian, every single time he then chose to beat Darius, Lance felt it. He had to go through that agonizing pain with Darius. So he hardened Lance too. Like, it wasn't just fucking Darius up. He was also fucking Lance up in the process. So to see him, like, start to get that carefree fun side back to him was like, my heart. And then Darcy says, I made a decision about my hair, but you're not allowed to see it. He says, hang on, why am I not allowed? Is it green or blue? Or am I way off base? Please tell me you haven't got a mohawk like Max. Although I'd probably still want you just as much. I certainly did when that fuckwit Capella took your hair. Darcy then made a decision. And that decision was to show up on his doorstep.
Yeah.
Because she saw his address earlier.
She keeps going, oh shit, holy shit. Am I really considering this? He might turn me away, but also he might not. Oh my God, I know where he lives.
Yep. So she buckles up, gets dressed, and goes.
She doesn't get dressed. She's in PJs.
Well, yeah, but she's got clothes on.
Yeah.
And she shows up.
It's very important. She's in PJs when she shows up.
So she shows up, and she knocks.
And it's raining.
It is pouring. So that's a big thing. There is a storm going on right now. And so she shows up in her pajamas on his doorstep with her hood on. And so she knocks. And then she starts to shake because it's cold, and she's like, oh no, he's not going to answer. He's going to turn me away. So Orion opens it, bare-chested in nothing but black sweatpants, Can I tell you all I could do is picture that?
And then he just stares at her, and all she does is say, "Blue?"
I just told him I wanted him, and in turn agreed to this dangerous affair. Guys, what do you think is about to happen?
It's so cute.
I was so giddy. I'm sitting on the couch like, while I'm reading this. And she's like, I just came to tell you that. And she took a step back, and he grabbed her and pulled her inside. She's like, I know this is crazy. And he's like, drink?
Mm-hmm.
She's like, just water. And they kind of just go back and forth because
she goes, you haven't made any comment about me coming here. And he goes, give a guy a second. 1 minute I'm messaging you, wishing I could have you right here. And then the next thing, and then he leans in and kisses her. Here you are.
No, kissing the corner of my mouth. And that was what it felt like anyway. As if there wasn't a single solid organ in my body. Here you are. Instead of giving me more of his mouth on mine, he painted a line of kisses up to my ear. He pushed his fingers into my hair, his touch like a drug. I don't want to get you in trouble. And then she said, Orion. And he goes, Lance. Because that was their thing when they were under the pool, is they were calling each other by their names. And they were like, never again, not after this.
Yeah.
Like,
and then he says, I know the risks that I'm taking.
But do you? And she says, I do.
He's like, if we do this, we can't undo it.
He's not letting her go after this.
Uh-uh.
And then he says, if you want me to stop, tell me to stop. She says, okay, don't stop.
They're just so cute.
They really are. I was really ready for this. And then he goes, I want you to the point of pain, Blue. His old nickname for me made a smile pull at my lips. I slid my hands over his shoulders, digging my nails in as that frustrating ache spilled into every corner of my body. Then have me. And so
and they have sex.
They had a lot of sex.
It's actually so cute.
Except, so he, pushed himself all the way in, and he goes, you can still say no. And then Lance said, before that, he goes, I hope you brought your peach.
Yeah.
And he put his hand on her and did the spell to protect her too.
Yeah.
Before they ended up having sex. He tickled her, and she was like, show me how much.
Right afterwards, they're talking about how they don't regret it. And then he says, you can't tell anyone, not even your sister.
So
they tell each other everything. This would be the first big secret that they.
I understand why, but Tori wouldn't tell anybody.
She would never.
She would never tell anybody. The only thing that I could see of why Lance is being really skeptical about it is memories being pulled.
Tori could also get in trouble if she knew about it and didn't say anything because he's a teacher. Yeah.
And then Darcy afterwards started freaking out. She was like, panic, shame, regret. And Lance is like, come here, talk to me, tell me what's going on.
So cute.
And I was like, oh, you guys.
Then we go into a Tori chapter.
Well, first, I guess we do go into a Tori chapter. It didn't happen at the end of this. Wow.
Yeah.
So
she gets a message from Darius.
Yep.
And it just says,
be ready.
Be ready. We're going to ride.
Because it's Wednesday. She's going to go win his bike. So they get to his house, and something that was said here that I was like, questionable. They don't just put details in these books for no reason. So Jenkins took her coat. And when they walked into the to the whatever the fuck it's called.
Manor.
Jenkins, my gosh, took her coat. And she's like, oh, I left my atlas in there. Weird. It's okay.
It's fine.
Why would they put that there?
Weird.
Anyway, so he takes Tori up to his rooms, and she's like, holy shit, like,
Yeah.
this is insane. And she gets to see Xavier again.
Mhm.
And they're like joking back and forth, and it was really cute. And Darius is like, I have something I need to go do, and told Xavier to keep her company.
Yeah.
And so, of course, Tori is just a bad fucking influence.
Mhm.
And she's like, let's have some fun. What do you do
Mhm.
for fun around here? Or what did you do for fun when you were a kid?
Yeah.
He's like, I surfed down the stairs.
The
but
stairs.
we can't
do that anymore.
And she's like, let's do it. And so they start surfing down the stairs, and Xavier's having like
He's having a good time.
such a fun time, and he starts to glow.
He's been locked up for so long without any other like outside friends, influence, interaction at all.
He
My
starts
heart.
to glow because
Mhm.
he's so happy and he's
Mhm.
feeling love like Pegasuses do. And so they do it 3 times, I think. And then the last time, Darcy uses her air, or Tori uses her air to throw them down the stairs super fast. And they
Mhm.
fall on the bottom, and they're just freaking giggling. And Tori goes, you're glowing just like a Pegasus.
Yeah, she goes, shit, dude, you're sparkling. And he goes, what? No, I'm not. And she goes, yes, you are. If I didn't know any better, I'd say you were about to turn into a Pegasus. And then his eyes widened with panic, and he tried to push himself to his feet, and he shook his head. But before he could manage it, tremors racked through his body, and he shredded right through his clothes. I stared up at the glimmering lilac Pegasus before me.
She's like, he was the most beautiful Pegasus I've ever seen. And then she goes, well, shit, no wonder I like you so much. You skipped the asshole dragon gene.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, I think my mortal is showing because I really just want to tickle your horsey ears.
She's like,
Xavier lowered
petting
his
him.
head to let her pet him.
She goes, why do you look so sad?
Mm-hmm.
And she like feels like she wants to cry because she's like just holding onto his neck and just
She
like giving
wrapped
him
her arms
love.
around him and just was loving on him that he hadn't gotten, and he was like whinnying at her. And then Darius walks in and is like, shit. And he's like, you can't, please promise me you won't tell anyone you saw him like this. Like what? I trust you not to even notice when you've stumbled upon a secret that could get you killed. No one can know that Xavier isn't a dragon. She's like, why the fuck not?
He's
He's
beautiful.
beautiful.
Yeah.
And
She's like,
Xavier shifted back.
I'd much rather be a Pegasus than some grumpy ass dragon.
Xavier shifted back. He squeezed me against him so tightly that I could hardly breathe. Thank you. For what? For not even batting an eye. For actually thinking there's something good about this. And then he hugged her, and then he pressed a kiss to the top of my head and released me, hurrying away up the stairs before I could say anything else. The door to his bedroom clicked shut, and I was left standing with Darius, who was looking at me like I'd summoned the moon to come and sing us a lullaby. Darius fell in love with her right there.
Cutest thing. She did not bat an eye. She was like, I actually would like him to be a Pegasus instead of a dragon.
Like, and then she's like, stop fucking looking at me like that.
Yeah.
Because
That's the first person to look at him and not immediately
be disgusted.
that he's a Pegasus. Like, even Darius, the first time that he knew, was like taken aback and like, oh gosh, we can hide it. We can do something. We can whatever.
And then Darius tells her Xavier really needed to see that someone could just accept him for who he is. She's like, no problem. And then they go down to the bikes.
Yeah.
And she gets her jacket back as she's picking a bike.
Caleb messages her asking her to come to his room that night.
And he had sent her pictures. And Tori says, sorry, I've had a better offer tonight, but feel free to bite someone else. I don't mind at all. Besides, you lost our game today, so you can't get your fangs in me until you win. Caleb says, what better offer? And if you won't let me put my fangs in you, how about something else? Tori's like, can't tonight, but you can always try to catch me tomorrow. Caleb's like, you're killing me. Why don't I just come and see you? She's like, I told you, I got a better offer. I'm not even on campus. And then puts her phones away.
And then, she just shoves her atlas into her
And Darius
pocket.
is like, am I keeping you from your friends? She's like, that's one of your friends, actually. He's very persistent. So then Darius gets his fucking phone out and starts texting, and she's like, what the fuck? He's like, which one do you want? And Tori is like confused for a second because she's thinking like between the two of them. And he's like talking about the bikes. And then her atlas started fucking going off in her pocket. And Darius released a low growl of irritation. And so she ended up picking a Hondusa that she knew was the fastest bike on the market, or that he had. And she's like trying to get Darius to tell her what he wants if he wins, because he never set anything. And he ends up saying something I can't buy, which I don't think you'd give me if I just asked. You'll have to wait and see when I win. I wonder what that was.
So then they plan out a loop, a 15-mile loop, to do. Remember, it's raining. This is the same night that Darcy is going to Orion.
Yes. Then she pulls out her phone and is like, "Did you tell Caleb we were out together?" And he's like, "Were you planning on keeping it a secret?" She said, "No, I'll be telling everyone and anyone about how I won one of your precious bikes by tomorrow, but I got the feeling you might have annoyed him." Darius held out a hand for my atlas, and I handed it to him, not really caring if he read the messages Caleb had sent. He cast an eye over them for a few seconds, and then took his own atlas out and caught her hand and pulled her upright and took a photo of them and sent it to Caleb.
This is marking his territory.
Tori's like, "You're an asshole." And he says, "At least I'm consistent." So they go out and they start racing. And, you know, they're going back and forth. She has a little thing in her helmet that allows her to communicate with him through the helmets because the weather is shitty. It is so bad. Like, they can barely see in front of them. And Darius promised her he wouldn't use magic to shield himself because she doesn't have control over it yet. So he was trying to make it fair. And they start. And they're going back and forth. And then they get to the end and lightning struck. But Tori is like, "I gotta go." Like,
I gotta win.
speeding as fast as she possibly can. And they end up
There's a
crashing. A tree falls in front of them. And they end up crashing. Both bikes.
Yeah.
So they're flying through the air. And she's like, "I gotta put out air to, like, catch myself." And then she throws out earth to, like, lighten the fall. And then Darius lands on top of her. And they roll. And she is in excruciating pain. Like something is, like, broken and she's hurting and she does not have healing magic. And so Darius is like, "Roxy, oh no," and puts his hand on her face and heals her, and her pain is gone. And she's like, "Well, shit, how the hell did we survive that?" Darius says, "You should know. I don't have air or earth magic."
She just saved them.
She saved them.
They would have been both fucked. Like, bad. The bikes are destroyed. Completely wrecked.
Yep. And then she was like, "Won't your dad care that we wrecked the bikes?" He's like, "Nah, he's not going to give a fuck." And then he takes them back to his room.
Like,
and then she's like,
his room.
He said, "I can't believe you almost beat me." She's like, "Almost? We were at the finish line. I had you beat and you know it." He was like, "I was about to take back the lead, but it's cute you think you would have won." He took the water out of them and he's like begging her to stay. Not just asking anymore. He literally was like begging her.
He's like, "So sleep here. It's like last night. We don't even have to do anything else."
Tell me that's not the cutest fucking thing.
She's like, "I have a perfectly good bed downstairs. Why would you want me to stay?" And he goes, "Because it feels right."
I wanted to deny that, but my heart pounded a little with the truth of his words. Hadn't I woken up feeling safe and secure in his arms this morning? Hadn't I wanted that feeling to go on and on? And then she's like, "He's a monster, though. Like, I'm not going to forget that. Yeah. He fucked me up."
Yeah.
And
she ends up leaving.
She goes to the door and she's like, "Are you going to admit that I won?" "Never." "Then I guess this is good night." And then she gets into her room and looks at her atlas and has a text from Darius that says, "But maybe we could call it a draw." Freaking cute!
We go into an Orion chapter.
5 minutes had turned into hours. Like, we didn't know that was going to happen. Super cute, though.
He's thinking how she's made for him. He's begging her, "Just another hour."
He literally says, "This girl is made for me."
It's so cute.
And then she's like, "Lance, I have to go. I have my air trial tomorrow." He's like, "Not until the afternoon." Like, trying to get her to stay. And then knock, knock, knock on the window. It is Darius Acrux. That motherfucker. Because he was getting ready to take her back. He was just going to zoom her back.
Yeah.
And now she has to walk all by her fucking self. And he's like, "Motherfucker. I hissed as he pinched himself hard enough to hurt me through the bond. I giggled out loud at that. Like, you're not gonna fucking answer me? Fine.
Fuck you.
Just imagine the big ass dragon outside going,
Pinching himself. Take that.
oh, what a way to wake him up.
Uh-huh.
And then, so it gets Darcy out, and then
Opens the door and he goes.
Darius doesn't see Darcy.
He goes, get inside, you peeping Tom.
Ha ha. Oh, what does he say?
What the fuck are you
Oh,
wearing?
Darius is like, what's going on? Blah, 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 blah. He's like, do you think I've got a girl here? Apparently not. So I guess you were just in the middle of jerking off over your numerology book again. Numbers are hot, but I was actually busy jerking off over your mom. She sent me some dirty pictures again. Darius barked a laugh. Hey, whatever, man. I wasn't the one jerking off alone at 2 a.m. I thought you had your hot fib girlfriend might be here.
That could have been a better lie as well. Lance immediately thinks. No, and she's not my girlfriend. Weird. How he was just telling fib agents that she was the girlfriend and lets everybody believe that she's the girlfriend.
Anyway, so Darius, the reason why he had left Tori with Xavier was because he went to find something important to his dad. Because they need that to be able to perform the dark magic to kind of see what he's planning and who he's trying to use for the solstice to sacrifice like they did Clara. So they go in, they make it to their little cove, and they start the dark magic, and they go into this like they're focusing on Lionel to kind of figure it out. And so they go into the council offices, and they follow him up into the office, and while they're in there, Orion's mom comes in, and Darius is like, if they start fucking, I'm gone. And Lance is like, oh, me too. And they sit down and they start talking, and they're like, his mom is Stella. She's like, sorry that I failed you and that my daughter wasn't good enough. And Lance is like boiling, right? He says, I am grateful for the sacrifice you made for our cause, Stella, and I want you to know that I am willing to make just as great a sacrifice as you. Who the fuck do you think that could be? Motherfucking stupid ass dragon. Xavier is pure-blooded. Lionel growled, and my heart turned to stone. Despite his recent emergence, I can guarantee his order is due to whichever constellations he was linked to at birth. It has nothing to do with my blood or Catalina's, for that matter. They are going to try to use Xavier for the next thing like they did Clara. And Lance says, no. We will do everything in our power to stop him. I swear on the stars, Darius, we will not let Lionel hurt Xavier like he hurt my sister.
Oof.
Sad.
Yeah.
I was like, I knew it was like, I figured, right? It makes the most sense. That's how they're going to get rid of Xavier because he wants to kill him.
Yeah. He doesn't want anybody to know that he's not a dragon.
So that's like the best way to do it.
Yeah.
And it was
He
still a
also
surprise
gets
when he
something out of
actually
it,
said
yeah.
it.
He's a fucking asshole. The worst human being.
Anyways, we move into a Darcy chapter. And guess what's happening today?
Air trial.
It is the first of their trials. It is the air trial. So before that happens, Seth comes into her room.
Yeah.
And is like,
banging on
who
her
you
door.
fucking?
And she's like, what?
He's like, I came into your room last night, blah, blah, blah. We were doing Hell
Freshman
Week
Hell
trials.
And you weren't
And
here.
you weren't here. Who you fucking? She's like, I was at Tori's. He's like, weird. I know. Or he was like,
Darius told Caleb that she was with him. And Caleb came to me ready to combust.
Caleb came to me ready to combust. That motherfucker is jealous.
Yeah.
Like, there's got to be something going on with him and Darius, like, where they're like, no, I got her. No, I got her. No, I got her. But Caleb is actually getting her. And I think that is very, very funny. But she does not care about Caleb like she does Darius.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Poor Caleb.
my sweet little Caleb boy.
Yeah.
And then she's like, he's essentially like, you should be fucking me. And she's like, no, like, I wouldn't do that. You did all this shit to me. You made me fall for you. You made me think that you were falling for me. And he's like, and what if I meant it? What if that part wasn't a game? She's like, no, get out. And she's like actually pissed at him because like
Mm-hmm.
How dare he?
Yeah.
Like, if you were actually starting to like me, why the fuck would you fuck me over like that? Like,
yeah.
dumbass. So yeah, so she comes in and then they end up going to the orb.
Mm-hmm.
Tori's like, I'm okay. I raced Darius on his bikes and I won. She's like, woo, want to get breakfast? So they get to the orb. This is the part that I was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Because it's hilarious. So Max is being a dick and trying to steal Geraldine's buttery bagels.
Yeah.
And so they get in a fight.
Mm-hmm.
And Geraldine does lose. Unfortunately.
Well, yeah. Well, Max is an heir, so like
I know. But she put up such a good fight, though.
she is still very, very strong.
And he called her a Vega ass licker. And she says, Griffin turd bather. And so the girls are like, we got to get something back at him. So they decide to take all of their leftover food that was left from everybody that's sitting with them, all of the ass, and put it into one bowl and make like a sludge. They're calling it Griffin poo. And so Sophia hides them while they use Geraldine's water magic. Right? She has water magic? And one of the twins.
Earth magic.
She
Geraldine
has
has
water.
earth, right? Or maybe she's water.
Yeah, she has water magic. I can use my water magic. She has water and earth.
Too.
So she uses her water magic to take it out of the bowl. One of the twins used their magic to throw it onto the ceiling. And then Geraldine uses her water magic up there from surrounding it to slowly move it over to the heirs. And so Sophia drops the illusion, so nobody is like, oh, what's going on? I wonder where that came from.
Yeah.
And they're just sitting at their table while they're moving that sludge slowly over the heirs. And a spot of the sludge dripped down onto his face and he flinched, wiping it from his cheek with a frown. What the? Syrupy chocolate gloop exploded all over him, splashing Seth too and making him yelp as he lurched away. The girl he'd been talking to screamed and ran off with her friends. He was trying to get with a girl while all this was happening. And the girl was like, nah, F this.
Yeah.
And ran the fuck away.
He's like,
who the fuck did this?
Somebody yells, oh my stars, it's Griffin shit. And he's like, no, it's not Griffin shit.
And it pissed all of them off, so they all ran away.
And then Seth wipes a piece of it off and he goes, it's chocolate. And they're like, holy shit, Seth Capella's eating shit.
So they leave. And then the girls and Diego head out for their air trials. So the trial ends up being water, which Tori's like, I'm okay. Like, I got taught that trick. Like, I'll be fine.
Yeah.
So there's a line in the water, and then there's two pavilions, essentially, or podiums, out in the middle of the water. And they have to use their air magic. They cannot use any other type of magic. They have to use only their air magic to get themselves above the water and over to the podium.
If you fall in the water, you get drugged back to the beach.
By
you have to start over.
Orion and the other professor, but Orion is the important one. Another thing that
and you only have
happens
so much
here-
time.
Another thing that happens here is a lot of the parents and family members of the students are there to watch, to see their kids get through their trial. And as weird as it is, Diego's uncle shows up and is kind of shitting on him.
Yeah.
And Caleb and the heirs show up as well. And he's like, Caleb comes up to her and says, is your atlas broken, sweetheart? She's like, nope. Why? He's like, I sent you a few messages and you didn't seem to have replied. And then I find out you're off chasing after one of my friends all night. So what am I supposed to make of that? This pissed Tori off.
Yeah.
And Darcy's like, like, I know what's about to happen. And Tori says, honestly, I don't tend to date guys who are so needy. They send me 15 messages without a response. So if you're hoping for me to message you back, you might want to tone back the desperate vibe I'm getting. And secondly, I'm not your girlfriend, so I don't have to check with you about where I spend my evenings or who I spend them with. Caleb got pissed.
Yeah.
He was about to bite her. And Darius, of course it was Darius. Was like, if you bite her right before her trial, then people will say you were trying to sabotage her by draining her magic. So the heirs go away. We see Kylie's dad. We realize her mom is not in the picture, not around.
Yeah.
Alejandro, Diego's uncle, is shitting on him. And then they all have to go and Orion is late,
Of course.
as usual.
Mm-hmm.
So he finally goes in, and they start their trial.
Yeah.
So the girls fail a couple times as they're trying to get over, and then
Yeah.
they're like, first off, they immediately, from the very beginning, they're like, nope, we're sharing magic. No way that we're not going to do this together. We're working together. That's how we're going to get through this. This is what we're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
So they lose a few times, and Orion is like, pay attention, because the heirs and everybody around them is like booing them and saying that they're shit and like trying to distract them.
Yeah.
And Orion, because he's the one pulling Darcy back after she falls into the water, is like, pay attention. Keep your focus.
Yeah.
So what they end up doing is they hold hands, and Darius is like, I'm never going to be, or not Darius, sorry. Diego is like, I'm never going to be able to get through this. I can't do it. I can't do it. I'm such a little bitch. So they wrap him in, and they create like an orb around them, kind of like a bubble ball.
Yeah. And then they just start running.
They just run across the water.
Like in a hamster ball almost.
And they make it to the podium with like 20 minutes to go.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a girl that was like a couple feet in front of the podium, didn't make it.
Yeah.
Like super sad. But the girls passed their first trial. Like they did it. And I think that was like the biggest part of this. They're done with one. 3 more to go.
Crazy. And that's the last chapter we're going over?
Well, they say, we can't fail any of these trials and risk not making the cut. We won't, Tor. Zodiac is where we belong. And that's the end of part 2.
Yeah. Thoughts, feelings, comments.
I'm glad that Darcy and Orion finally just did it.
Yeah.
Like, I just feel like they needed to fuck, to be honest.
They're like officially a couple.
You know,
and
tension.
they're keeping it secret, but
tension
it's so
and
cute.
slow burn, right? That is a thing.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I was ready.
So cute.
It needed to happen. I was over it. I needed the
And now they're together.
He's never letting her go.
Tori knows that Xavier is a Pegasus.
Yep. Tori knows about Xavier. I'm sure that she's going to be a big part of getting him to the school. And honestly, saving him probably.
Yeah, Tori doesn't do anything by halves.
I'm hoping that Darius is now starting to be better. And now that she knows about Xavier and will confide in her about it, I don't have my hopes super high. But like, how the fuck else is he going to save him? So we'll see how that all plays out. Obviously, we now know that Xavier is the target for whatever they're going to, or what they're going to try to do like they did with Clara.
Yeah.
So we're going to find out how they have to save him, because that's this book.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way it's going to go into the next book. All the trials are going to be in here, so we're going to figure out if they
Same
pass
with
the rest of their trials.
Eclipse, yeah.
We're going to figure out if they save Xavier, if they hurt that little boy. He's not even a little boy. He's 18 years old.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
But he's a little cinnamon roll that just needs love.
don't hurt my Pegasus. I want to see Tyler and Sophia get together. Yeah. I have a lot of like wants, and I'm hoping that happens in this book. We have 2 parts left. I'm not super hopes up for all of that, but like, I really also, I'm sick and tired of this slow burn tension between Tori and Darius, and I just want them to fuck too.
You're like, just do it already.
Get it out. Get it out of your system. But yeah, my boys list hasn't really changed. I still fucking hate Max.
Yeah.
Seth is moving up. Darius is moving up a little bit. Because, like, I don't think I ever truly, truly, truly hated Darius. I just like that Caleb is just a better person than them.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever truly hated Darius. Because of point 5, I feel like I was very...
you see the background.
You also get their personalities a little, and you know that they're not hateful fucks.
Yeah.
So, my list for the boys
I'm so
hasn't really
excited for
changed.
you to get to the end of this book. This is where, I keep saying it, this is where it really takes off. Like,
Yeah.
this series just goes crazy after
But
this book.
I'm excited for part 3.
It's going to be the other trials.
Yeah. I'm curious to see what's going to happen. But anyways, if you're reading with us, drop a comment. Let us know. What do you think? If you're just listening to us go through it,
And just
I'm
rant.
glad you're here.
Yeah.
If you enjoyed this, like, comment, subscribe, and we will see you next time. Bye, guys.
Bye.
When you look my way, it gave me shivers.